Well, moving away from the Chinese spy balloon, just wanted to give you some updates with that. Let's move into the oil stuff going on because your gas bill is basically going to skyrocket here, potentially. So you have Saudi Arabia, whose relationship with the United States basically has taken a massive nosedive during the Biden administration, just this whole tenure. And it was announced on Sunday that it would lead the members of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, including Russia, to cut over 1 million barrels of output a day starting next month, which could cause higher U.S. inflation. Remember the Inflation Reduction Act? Joe Biden doing everything he possibly could to lower your inflation. Now we're down from 9.1 to 6.4 or something, or 6. I shouldn't say down. It's still up 6% of which we were just a year ago. So it still is through the roof. But Saudi Arabia is stating that it would cut production by another 500,000 barrels a day starting in May. So get ready, folks. Oil prices soared 7.5% at the week's open after this announcement from the Saudis. Kevin Book, managing director of Clearview Energy Partners, told CBS News the cuts could cause U.S. gasoline prices to rise roughly 26 cents per gallon or more. Or more. I mean, folks, this is just a rough estimate here. In places like California, you're probably going to see a massive uptick. The move on Sunday follows OPEC's decision last October to reduce production by 2 million barrels a day. There's going to be some consequences for what they've done with China, Biden threatened in October. I'm not going to get into what I consider and what I have in mind, but there will be consequences. Yeah, we've heard this long enough, dude. You haven't done anything. And it only gets worse. Wait till we get what's going on with Japan buying oil from Russia now. Wait till we get to that one, but Joe Biden's doing everything he can. Remember on the campaign trail when he looked at Trump with his dazed eyes and somehow actually got out a coherent sentence by saying that China's going to eat your lunch? Yeah, no, that's working out real well. It's like everything that Biden says doesn't actually happen. It's just the opposite of what he says is going to happen. That seems to be the theme of it, right? Whenever he's taking something seriously, he's not taking anything seriously. Whenever he's doing anything he can to solve something, he's just making the matter worse. So whatever Biden says, just take the complete opposite of it, and you'll probably land dead on. So President Biden said this, quote, he would make the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia a pariah state. That was an enormous mistake from Secretary of State Mike Pompeo saying that about Biden. But let's look at the facts. There are an important security partner for the United States. There's only one country in that whole region that wants to threaten the United States of America and Israel and wipe us from the face of the earth. That's the leadership in Iran, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has been an important partner in helping us protect from that threat. Not wrong, but you know what would also help if Joe Biden wanted to sit there and increase domestic oil production? And I understand there are some projects in the pipeline, but this should have been happening a long, long time ago with the messaging and everything else taking place. And speaking of the messaging and everything else taking place, Japan will continue to purchase Russian crude oil above the $60 per barrel price cap imposed by the G7 nations last year. Now, you might be thinking, man, Japan just stabbed us right in the back here. But it turns out that we actually approved this whole thing. So the break from the sanction created by the Western nations in reaction to the Russian invasion of Ukraine was approved by the United States, but marks a faltering in the G7 alliance. Absolutely correct. If we sat there and produced our own oil, we could be a net exporter of this stuff and actually help our allies out. But because you have the Democrat Party want to destroy this country from the inside out, and speaking of destroying our country from the inside out, we wrote an entire book on it. Folks, we're selling these like hotcakes. Go over to Amazon. We can barely keep this stuff in print. I mean, you guys are buying this stuff like crazy. We're just looking for reviews now, but it's called Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. And folks, you're seeing it in real time with the Democrat Party. The progressive left have been absorbed by the Democrat Party. They're almost one thing now, and they're going to destroy this country from the inside out. I mean, things are worse now than they were under Trump, and somehow the Democrat Party and the Biden administration are going to try to sit there and woo you into thinking that it's a complete opposite, that things are now better than they were under the Trump administration, or they're going to blame Republicans and the conservatives for everything, which we've seen Karine Jean-Pierre do time and time again. I'm telling you, I don't know what is going on, but somehow people are believing all this stuff that's taking place. I mean, you have illegal immigration skyrocketing through the roof. Republicans are being blamed for that. I mean, how do you come to that conclusion? It's literally head spinning. And what's amazing here is if you get on social media like Instagram or TikTok and all these places, you literally have these Biden supporters saying that it's Republicans' fault for what's going on at the southern border. And somehow they're blaming Trump for all this stuff. You got to be an idiot. I mean, really, put politics aside. I mean, you got to be a next level idiot or trolling, or you're just trying to get views or something like that to really believe in that. It's insane. You have what's going on with inflation. Still blaming Trump on that. How you come to that conclusion, I have no idea, but it's Trump's fault. You have Joe Biden sitting there parading around that he sat there and cured COVID. But the COVID was Trump's fault somehow. It's insane. You have the foreign policy. That's Trump's fault too, even though we didn't have all this going on under Trump. I mean, everything is somehow Trump's fault and nothing is Biden's fault, even though the guy's been in office 2 years, of which, by the way, for 2 years, they've been saying that we're in a transition phase in terms of the economy. A transition phase for 2 years. They've been saying this. If you would have just opened up the economy, you let the free markets thrive, stop implementing regulations, stop going after people, stop going after Trump, leaving certain policies in place under the Trump administration. I mean, literally, if you just rode on Trump's coattails, he would have been fine. He would have been fine. But now we're dealing with all these shenanigans now. Japan, an island nation with lackluster energy reserves, will continue to purchase crude oil from this project in the far eastern portion of Russia, such that Japan continues to have access to natural gas present at the site. Remember when Germany sat there and laughed at Trump when he basically said that's not a good idea for you to rely on the Russians for your energy? And now we're looking at this whole thing where the Germans and Japan and all these other countries are relying on the Russians for energy. You just got to love it. Quote, "We have done this with an eye toward having a stable supply of energy for Japan," the official for the Japanese Economy Ministry said in a statement to the Wall Street Journal. He noted that a small quantity of crude oil is extracted alongside the natural gas at that project, which Japan must continue to purchase to ensure access to the latter energy product. The price cap policy only allows maritime services industries in the G7 nations, the European Union, and Australia, which includes sectors such as the insurance and trade finance, to offer the services for Russia oil sold below the benchmark. Brent crude oil, by the way, the price benchmark for the fuel drilled in the Atlantic Ocean, was $81 per barrel as of Monday morning. You have Mitsubishi, two prominent Japanese companies, own nearly 1/4 of the project initiative and successfully fought to maintain their shares of the project last year. So that's the update on what's going on with oil. You could see your oil prices go through the roof. If something happens, now that we're moving into more of a springtime, we'll see if there's more, I don't know, refineries down or needing maintenance or something along those lines. We'll actually see what happens here. We still got 2 years of this knucklehead in office, folks. It's going to be a long time. You got Trump being indicted. Lord only knows what's going on with that. But let me know what you think in terms of Trump being indicted. All the focus is on that. What do you think is going on over here? Let me know in the comments, really, right? Not just a live chat, but in the comments below, like, what do you think we should be focusing on? Is it the BRICS? Is it the financial crisis? Is it inflation, energy, foreign policy? What is it that we're supposed to be focusing on that we're missing over here? And I think there is something over here that's big. Something big's going on because they want us to focus on Trump. They want us to sit there and watch this man indicted. Something's happening, folks, and we're not paying attention to it. Write in the comments below on what you think is going on. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Bald Brad Show. Head over to Amazon already if you haven't. Get your copy of Trojan Horse, How the Left Destroyed America. We got hardcover, paperback, folks. We got ebooks for y'all. Buy it for a friend or family member. You're supporting conservative, folks. You're supporting somebody that wants to sit there and push out conservative thought and ideas. Send this link on Reddit, Facebook, social media. Help us grow our platform here. Hit the join tab down below. There's a lot of stuff you can do in supporting the show. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.